This program is brought to you by Truscott Hi-Fi.
Truscott, we've got all you want and more.
No pain, no pain, no pain.
Before Roger Rabbit wreaked havoc on the screen, the special effects team performed magic on the set. In Terminator 2: Judgment Day, the frightening vision of ultimate destruction was created with carefully crafted miniatures. On the silver screen, things are rarely what they seem, because the masters of illusion are at work, making us think we're seeing one thing when it's really something else. Hello, I'm Roy Scheider. By the time the Addams Family house reached the screen, it looked a little bigger than this. Tonight, we'll reveal some of the secrets of Hollywood's wizards of special effects and see just how they conjure amazing cinematic illusions. Joining me is my friend Jonathan Brandis.
Hi. I'm excited because tonight we're going behind the scenes on some of my favorite movies, such as Raiders of the Lost Ark and Terminator 2: Judgment Day. And we'll meet the masters of creature creation, who bring animals, monsters, and fantastic beings to life. From a lovable Bigfoot to a terrifying Queen Alien.
And we'll find out how the most explosive, shocking, and absolutely loony movie moments are created. So hang on for a wild ride through the incredible world of special effects. Next on Masters of Illusion.
Safe enough once we make the jump to hyperspace.
We have traveled to distant galaxies and witnessed the wrath of God. We have befriended a lovable rabbit and battled a demonic alien. We have secured the future existence of humanity and felt a love that has no bounds. Whether young or old, and no matter where we live, we have all shared these incredible experiences, made possible by the wizards of special effects. Here at Alterian Studios, one of Hollywood's most innovative effect shops, artists and technicians create wonderful illusions when the real thing is too dangerous, too costly, or simply doesn't exist.
When we purchase our movie ticket, we gladly suspend our disbelief. For special effects are more than mere illusions. They elicit very real emotions and create memories that stay with us long after we have left the theater.
When the massive Star Destroyer rumbled overhead in the opening moments of 1977's blockbuster Star Wars, it marked the beginning of a new era in special effects. To produce the movie, filmmaker George Lucas assembled a talented group of artists and technicians and formed a special effects company called Industrial Light and Magic, or ILM.
Special effects are not an end to themselves. Special effects are a tool. They're a paintbrush. And they're to be used to be able to tell a story in a more interesting way. It's a very, very sophisticated and complicated art form because it's just the amount of detail and the amount of creativity and science that you have to understand is really astronomical.
During the making of the Star Wars trilogy, important advances were made in three major areas of special effects: creature creation, models and miniatures, and image compositing. Compositing is the means by which two or more separately filmed images, such as the forest background and the speeder bikes, are combined into a single picture. Creature creation encompasses a variety of techniques by which fantastic yet believable characters can be brought to the screen. One famous example is Jabba the Hutt, designed and built at a cost of nearly $500,000. 5 puppeteers controlled Jabba's movements from inside the huge body, while an off-camera effects technician operated his radio-controlled eyes.
You munch your lips again, Dave?
Models and miniatures were used extensively for spacecraft and landscapes, making possible such memorable sequences as Luke Skywalker's flight through the Death Star Trench.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
It's all gotta go at Truscott's this week. Piles of top-brand TVs are getting the boot. We're giving the push to a huge lineup of hi-fis. Stacks of quality VCRs are being given the elbow. And we're giving the flick to camcorder after camcorder. Yes, it's all gotta go at Truscott's, where you always get Truscott's 6 stores.
I do a lot of laundry now.
Do you?
With Judy so busy working.
Didn't when we were married?
I can never get as clean as yours. Do you pre-soak or what?
No. I just use this.
Drive's 2 different enzymes give it the power to remove really tough stains.
Oh, it sure works. Look at this shirt. Hang on. Whose shirt is this?
With double-action Drive, the toughest stains will come out in the wash.
I wash, I get pimples. Don't eat chocolate, I get pimples. I drink heaps of water, I get pimples. I don't eat junk food, I get pimples. I get pimples.
I get pimples.
I get pimples. I get Clearasil wash. I get less gunk.
Clearasil Daily Face Wash. It clears away 20, 35, up to 70% of the oil that clogs pores where pimples start and fights surface bacteria for up to 12 hours.
Wow, this is
huge. Clearasil Daily Face Wash. It's a real prevention invention.
Do your face right. Use it.
At Jarvis Ford, we give you more.
The 54-hour marathon sale now on at Jarvis Ford. Rick, tell me about your great new car deals.
Scott, we've slashed the prices on these new Telstars by $6,500, and there's huge savings on Festiva, Laser and light trucks, and make no repayments for 6 months.
And when you buy a new car from Jarvis Ford at Nord or Hillcrest, have a go on the cash cube.
At Jarvis Ford, we give you more.
The Galaxy Home and Land Lottery is on again.
And you should see this year's prize.
The Mary Lee, a new concept in luxury living.
Beautifully furnished, all electric, energy efficient.
A great family home.
Tickets are just $2.
Everywhere.
Alf can't forgive.
You want me to say it's all right that you caused me to almost run over my own son?
But where does that leave Sarah?
That's not fair.
Oh, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Is it the final straw?
You could always go home.
Find out on Home and Away, tomorrow on 7.
Indiana Jones had but seconds to escape the ancient tomb, but it took mechanical effects expert Kit West and his crew almost 3 months to design and build the set's collapsing walls, shooting darts, and 800-pound rolling boulder.
On film, it looked pretty simple, but it was one of those things where we had to have the ball completely controlled so that if Harrison Ford in any way slipped or fell down, the whole thing had to come to a halt.
Kit worked closely with director Steven Spielberg during filming, setting bar rooms on fire, exploding bullet holes in walls, and blowing up just about everything imaginable.
Those situations are relatively dangerous. You want everything to be very, very safe, but you also don't want to have to wait a huge amount of time to put the thing together and make it work. Kit was always very, very fast and very efficient at getting the job done and not making a big deal out of it.
On location in the Mojave Desert, Kit is setting up a large-scale mechanical effect for the action thriller Universal Soldier. The movie stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as a futuristic robo-soldier. The film's villains have pursued him to this remote gas station, where they find an explosive surprise. What looks like uncontrolled destruction is really an illusion. The The explosion will be on the screen for just 10 seconds. But Kit and his crew have spent several weeks preparing every detail of the blast, down to the split-second timing. Plastic pipes set into the ground in front and back of the gas station are filled with 85 gallons of gasoline. Hundreds of feet of a rope-like explosive called primacord are strategically placed throughout the structure and will literally rip the walls and ceiling apart. A variety of other pyrotechnic charges and chemicals will provide just the right look to the explosion. From the color and size of the fireball to the amount of sparks and smoke, each phase of the blast will be ignited by a detonator, wired to a firing board which will be operated a safe distance from the set.
It'll be a series of 3 explosions, very quickly, all in the same shot. Boom, boom, boom.
Kit has choreographed the blast so that the gas pumps go first, followed by the bathroom, and finally the mechanic's shop. A cannon inside this pickup truck will also be triggered, launching the vehicle through the exploding roof. The set is cleared, and a final check is made to ensure all the explosives are properly wired. Kit will have just one try at this special effect. There will be no second takes.
Roll cameras. 8 speed.
It's like first night jitters in the theatre when the curtain goes up, because you do have butterflies. When you press that button, it doesn't go. You are in trouble. On the other hand, the wonderful thing is that if everything works well, you have that tremendous elation. You know, you're the number one for a few minutes.
While spectacular effects like Kit's explosions are a staple of action pictures, mechanical effects actually have their roots in comedy. Silent screen star Snub Pollard used mechanical props to create his biggest laughs. Buster Keaton employed mechanical effects to place his character in comically precarious situations. These effects became known as gags, a term still used today. And perfect timing remains the key to pulling them off.
Roll plate, roll camera. Rolling swiftly. And here we go, and...
Leslie Nielsen, a.k.a. Lieutenant Frank Drebin of the Naked Gun series, is carrying on the tradition of Keaton and Pollard.
When anybody talks about effects in comedy, you automatically go back to the days of silent films. Buster Keaton, the stuff that he did with the building, for example, falling in Bango. And can you imagine, you know, having to be in an exact spot with that thing falling? Because if it missed by a fraction of an inch, you have a broken shoulder or a broken head. But what you do for the comedy, but that was an effect.
The signature of the Naked Gun movies is the opening sequence, when Nielsen's police car, with the help of mechanical effects, takes a wild detour. For Naked Gun 33 1/3, the vehicle's final destination is a familiar-looking dinosaur theme park. The gag is being staged by Director of Effects Photography Sam Nicholson at Stargate Films.
Our police car jumps through the big electrical fence outside the park. We've dived through all these trees. We've had to make essentially a roller coaster for the camera.
The top of the car and the camera are mounted on a remote-controlled trolley and launched on a ride through the jungle set. But that's just the start of the gag. As the camera emerges from the thick foliage, a tyrannosaur claw rigged to a pulley system will come crashing down on top of the car.
And action. When you're the one who calls action, it's exciting. And what we do is we shoot it as filmmakers, and then we translate that experience out to millions of people.
Sam and his crew have created an illusion that has one purpose: to make the audience laugh.
Filmmakers also use special effects to push an audience to the edge of their seats, as producer Gail Ann Hurd has done in many of her movies, including Aliens, The Abyss, and the Terminator films.
The first time that I remember a special effects nightmare was on the Terminator. And we had Arnold Schwarzenegger. He had to put his fist through a windshield. Of course, it was not an easy thing to do, and it turned out we could not do that on the move. And instead, what we had to do was have the car stationary, have a hydraulic ram push through the window with a fist that simulated Arnold's fist, and we had to put a painted brick wall on a truck that drove by, simulating movement.
When we continue, the wizards of creature creation breathe life into incredible characters, from The Nightmare Before Christmas, Harry and the Hendersons, and Aliens. We'll be right back.
It's all gotta go at Truscott's this week. Piles of top-brand TVs are getting the boot. We're giving the push to a huge lineup of hi-fis. Stacks of quality VCRs are being given the elbow. And we're giving the flick to camcorder after camcorder. Yes, it's all gotta go at Truscott's, where you always get Truscott's 6 stores.
Got the hungries. That flame grilled beef is filling my mind. Gotta get moving, can't waste no time.
Fresh lettuce, tomatoes, pickles and more.
Mayonnaise, ketchup,
Can't wait anymore.
Got the hungries. It's a Whopper of a burger.
I can taste it, wow.
Got a Whopper of a hunger.
Gotta get it now.
Got the hungry? Get a Whopper. Only a Hungry Jack.
Got the hungries for Hungry Jacks.
Gorgeous Kimberly Davies in TV's Wedding Shock of the Year.
Anita Keating opens her heart for the first time. Miscarriage. New research finds hidden causes in your home. A brilliant Christmas cookbook. And gorgeous gifts to make. What a fabulous gown.
And you could win it. A rainbow is a roller. You must believe it's true. Roll up triple rainbows, flat out me and you. Uncle Toby's rainbow roller. Real fruit, real flat. Two rainbow roll-ups. A rainbow of fruit, flat out.
362, 363, 350.
Because we'd rather sell it than count it, Bunnings are having a massive stock tank clearance. Light globes just 50 cents each. AquaGarden spray kit a bargain at $15.95. Save $10 on this broadcast spreader, now only $84.95. Jarrigate $29.95. Even less for handy card holders. Wattle solar guards $39.95. Save $10. And this cobweb broom is $9.95. The Bunnings stock tank clearance is on now.
Pat Bunnings.
From 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Hugh Grant and Kristen Scott Thomas in 94's most provocative movie. A burning fascination for a stranger too dangerous to touch. Television's first screening of Bitter Moon at the special time of 9 o'clock tonight on 7.
Friday. Everyone loves a wedding, and we've more ways of getting to the church on time. Plus, Ernie Dingo explores South Australia's beautiful Flinders Ranges.
Just 4.5 hours drive from Adelaide.
The Great Outdoors, 7:30 Friday.
It's only a movie. That's what parents tell their children during the scary parts. But somehow their reassurance is no match for Hollywood's creature creators. These are the artists and craftspeople who combine unlimited imagination and creative engineering to bring these fantastic movie characters to life. There are several techniques in the creature-making repertoire, one of which is special makeup effects.
The makeup artist starts by taking a life cast or mold of the actor's face using a fast-setting substance called alginate. It is a messy process, but not as unpleasant as makeup used to be. In the 1925 silent classic, The Phantom of the Opera, character actor Lon Chaney tilted his nose up by gluing a piece of clear fish skin from his nostrils to his forehead. Known as the Man of 1,000 Faces, Chaney always applied his own makeup. In The Hunchback of Notre Dame, he used mortician's wax, grease paint, synthetic hair, and a 20-pound plaster of Paris hump to become the deformed Quasimodo. Today, actors rarely apply their own makeup. In fact, once the hardened life cast is removed, the actor is free to go. The makeup artist uses the life cast to form a replica of the actor's face, on top of which anything can be sculpted and then cast in a flexible material called foam latex. And it will fit the actor perfectly. The process of molding facial parts and gluing them to an actor's face is called appliance makeup. It can turn Michael Dorn into an angry Klingon aboard the Starship Enterprise.
It's such a painful process, you know, with the glue and all the stuff going on your face, that you're not a nice person after a while. And it was very easy for me to play Worf after the makeup process, because I hated everybody, especially my makeup artist.
For actor Robert Englund, appliance makeup brings about an even more dramatic transformation. After about 3 hours in the makeup chair, he becomes Hollywood's most popular psychopath, Freddy Krueger.
I wish I had the makeup on sometimes when I'm on the LA freeway. You know, I'd love to pull up next to some of those drivers that don't use their turn signal. Freddy's very consistent. He's absolutely, unapologetically evil.
Are we sure we don't have anything that doesn't sting? No, I wish.
When it came to creating a believable Sasquatch for Harry and the Hendersons, creature creator Rick Baker knew he would need more than the standard appliance makeup.
I found that at one point there was a limitation to it. You can only add so much to a person's face before it becomes very masky. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to not have to deal with actors' faces and make whatever you want?
So Rick designed a false head to be worn by 7'2" tall actor Kevin Peter Hall, whose real eyes would show through. Inside the pointed ape-like head were small remote control motors that operated Harry's eyebrows, forehead, nose, cheeks, and mouth. The result was a believable character, capable of interacting with John Lithgow and the rest of the cast.
The first time we did camera tests, everyone was so thrilled because it was actually working. All this mechanics was pulling off the amazing trick of persuading people that this was a real animal. The audience makes that imaginative leap.
Harry and the Hendersons brought Rick Baker an Academy Award and changed our concept of Bigfoot forever.
Good. Yeah, did this mean we could keep him?
But you're the Pumpkin King.
Not anymore. While Sasquatch may have some basis in reality, the characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas come strictly from the imagination of filmmaker Tim Burton. In his previous movies, such as Batman Returns and Edward Scissorhands, he created eccentric personalities with special makeup effects. Beard. But when it came to bringing Jack Skellington and his ghoulish friends to life, Tim turned to stop-motion animation. The painstaking technique of filming miniature puppets, one still photograph or frame at a time. The animator must move each joint of the puppet's body very slightly, making sure it is moving in the desired direction. Often it can take an entire day to complete just 1 second of finished film.
It's a very tense, very, I don't know, I get very nervous every time I go around it because I feel like I'm going to just knock everything over.
One of the biggest challenges was to have the puppets' mouths move in sync with the pre-recorded voices. 400 different heads were made for Jack. They were photographed and scanned into a computer, and a printout was prepared showing which numbered head to use for each frame of film. It took more than 2 years to complete The Nightmare Before Christmas, but the proof of the filmmaker's wizardry is on the screen, where for 74 minutes, the inanimate comes to life.
Of course! That's what I'm missing. Thanks. You've just...
In a very different kind of nightmare, Sam Neill finds himself haunted by demons of darkness in the new horror film, In the Mouth of Madness.
I like having a scare once in a while. I mean, I think that's fun, it's cathartic, and it's probably good for you. And that's why we have always, as a species, enjoyed scaring each other with scary stories.
Scary movies are the specialty of director John Carpenter, whose past credits include Halloween and The Thing. For In the Mouth of Madness, John's monsters are actually large puppets.
I'm using old-fashioned cheap tricks in this movie, for the most part. You know, rubber monsters in the dark that look like scary monsters, so I'm gonna go back to the old days.
At KNB Effects Group, a crew of 25, under the supervision of creature creator Howard Berger, has spent the last 12 weeks fashioning living nightmares out of urethane foam and latex. The results of their labor is known simply as monster mass.
When this creature's all put together up on location, it spans about 18 feet long and 18 feet across. It's going to take about 15 people to make this thing come to life while we're shooting.
Several of the puppeteers are concealed within the monster's body, while others operate cable and radio controls to animate heads and limbs. The challenge is for the team of puppeteers to work in sync, creating the illusion of a single beast with a clear goal, to track down leading man Sam Neill. While Sam eluded prehistoric predators in Jurassic Park, he may not be so lucky this time. For the climax of In the Mouth of Madness, Monster Mass is joined in its pursuit by a few friends, including Crab Monster and Meatball Eater.
I like Meatball. He's a nice guy. He's got some ferocious gums going.
The lesson of this movie is clear. With a somewhat off-center imagination, a few hundred pounds of foam and urethane slime, and a group of talented puppeteers, nightmares can come true.
In what might be the ultimate cinematic nightmare, Sigourney Weaver found herself face to face with director James Cameron's Queen Alien.
Get away from her, you...
The formidable task of creating the terrifying villain of Aliens went to Stan Winston, whose shop has spawned famous monsters for such movies as Jurassic Park, Predator, and Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
No matter how interesting they look or how cool they are, what you react to as an audience is the performance of these characters, their reality, not their technique. They're actors in a film.
For the Queen Alien, Stan's challenge was to build a creature with maximum mobility so that every part of her body could be used in the climactic battle scene. The special effect technique he employed was animatronics, a fusion of puppetry, mechanical engineering, and electronics. The final creature stood 17 feet tall with room inside for 2 live performers to operate the arms. In addition, 14 technicians were required to operate the system of cable and hydraulic mechanisms that controlled the Queen's body, tail, and facial movements. But the Queen Alien was more than a complex animatronic machine. She was as frightening as screen creatures get, demonstrating what the masters of illusion can do when they combine creative engineering and boundless imagination.
We are continuing to see what we can do as far as creating new characters and being able to bring fantasy characters to life in a way that is totally real and totally believable. We're helping tell a story, and we're also creating magic.
And when those illusions get a little too scary, remember, it's only a movie.
When Masters of Illusion continues, we'll journey to the depths of the abyss, the perilous future of the Terminator, and the mysterious world of Alec Baldwin's action thriller, The Shadow.
Bette Midler, Barbara Hershey, and Mayim Bialik in a moving story about a friendship that would last a lifetime. Beaches, 8:30 Friday on Channel 7.
Son, the car's been broken into, mate.
Great.
They took my wallet and all the money for our trip. And my credit card. Right. My Visa card, that was from Westpac. I can call them and get another one.
At 11:30 at night?
Sure. My bank's at any time.
Yes, the bridal suite.
Yeah. Oh, tomorrow. Should I tell her?
Thank you. You're beautiful, thank you. Hey, tell me, where does a 200-pound gorilla sleep?
Anywhere he wants to.
Thanks. Now, for my next act, I'll need a volunteer. Hocus pocus. Voila. Great show tonight, buddy.
Look at that, Arthur. They've invented everything in the world now. Yes, Davo, but we still don't have any decent garage doors.
And so, Arthur Byrne and Paul Davidson became B&D. And B&D became part of the great Australian dream.
Sir. Look, honey, it's my replacement credit card and some emergency cash. No need to panic.
Tomorrow,
Australians going for gold.
millions dream of striking it rich. Now the dreams come true.
When you're pegging around these days, you don't even tell your wife where it is.
Life's lottery turning one nuggety prospector into an instant millionaire. Real life at 6:30.
Often, the smallest illusions produce the greatest results. Using carefully crafted models and miniatures like this submersible from the abyss, the Wizards of Special Effects create some of the most exciting and seemingly impossible movie experiences.
Cab 1, do you see it yet?
Roger that. Found it.
While many shots, including close-ups of the actors, were filmed in an underwater tank, these wide shots would have been too dangerous and too expensive to shoot in the ocean. The producers decided to film them instead in miniature on a dry stage at one of Hollywood's premier effects shops, DreamQuest Images. Shooting through smoke helped create the appearance of a murky underwater environment. The model's submersibles were suspended from a huge crane-like device and controlled like marionettes. As seen in this time-lapse photography, the sequence was shot very slowly to give the effects crew maximum control over lighting and camera settings. An entire day was required to complete just a few seconds on film. The biggest challenge for visual effects supervisor Hoyt Gateman was in figuring out a way to fit actress Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio into a 2-foot-long model.
Every time you come to work, you're faced with a new problem. And if you take that in the right attitude, it's an amazing and very refreshing type of business to be in because you're constantly being challenged to produce something new.
In order to see Mastrantonio inside the cockpit, a 35mm rear projector was built that was small enough to fit inside the model. Film of the actress shot in a full-size submersible was projected frame by frame in sync with the camera. 11 months of planning and effort added up to one very believable underwater illusion.
Keep moving. Remember, we're on a tight timeline.
Copy that.
It's also sometimes a surprise to us because we're working on such small little details for so many months. It's an amazing effect to finally see it all come together, fit within the film, help tell the story, and make people really go wow when they see it on the screen.
While filming in a real abyss would have been extremely difficult, shooting on the surface of Mars would be literally impossible. But we journeyed to the Red Planet anyway, in total recall. A dozen Martian vistas were created in miniature, including the vast mining complex, which measured 70 feet across and 30 feet deep. The dramatic Martian landscapes were filmed by DreamQuest and built by master model maker Mark Stetson. Mark has come back to Earth to recreate New York City of the 1930s for The Shadow. The movie stars Alec Baldwin as Lamont Cranston, a.k.a. The Shadow, a mysterious superhero who works outside the law to defend the Big Apple against sinister forces of evil. A miniature version of the Metropolis will be built by Mark Stetson, who began his career in industrial design making models of small home appliances. That all changed when he went to see George Lucas's Star Wars.
I saw those first spaceships opening that movie and realized that that was something that I could do, and it'd be a little bit more fun than toasters and clocks.
It was not long before Mark was building entire cities in miniature for movies like Blade Runner. In this famous scene from Ghostbusters, Mark's small-scale Central Park and New York City streets, complete with remote-controlled model cars, made a man in a suit appear to be the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The Shadow also includes several shots of Manhattan that could not be filmed in the real city. So Mark and his crew are building the Big Apple in 1/24th scale, half the scale size used for dollhouses. Since these miniatures are skyscrapers, they range in height from 10 to 20 feet and require more than 9,000 windows.
Okay, stand by, everybody!
Filming in miniature allows Mark to recreate the 1930s, weave the camera between the buildings, and even control the weather.
Keep raining, keep dribbling.
For this shot, sprinklers provide rain. Electric fans create wind, and flashing lights fill in for lightning.
How's that for you, Dave? And a cut.
By turning wood, plastic, and paint into a convincing illusion of New York City, Mark Stetson is carrying on the legacy of past masters of miniature magic.
In Republic Pictures serials of the 1930s and 40s, brothers Howard and Theodore Lydecker built thousands of models, only to blow them into smithereens. These explosive miniatures paved the way for many of today's biggest blasts. The explosion of the Terminator's gas tanker truck looks enormous, but in reality, the vehicle was an 8-foot-long model, carrying 3 gallons of gasoline. The explosion was originally going to be shot full scale, blowing up the actual truck driven by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But the location where the filming took place was next to a police munitions armory, and the necessary permits were denied. So a model replica of the truck was built, and the location's buildings, street, and parked cars were duplicated in miniature in the parking lot of effects house Fantasy 2. An even bigger challenge was the movie's future war sequence. Effects supervisor Gene Warren Jr. had to stage believable miniature battle scenes that would be combined with full-scale shots filmed with the actors. Gene oversaw construction of a 700-square-foot miniature set of a war-torn Los Angeles, designed to have a grim and gritty look. It included such ominous details as miniature skulls. The futuristic war machines, out to destroy the last vestige of humanity, were built in Fantasy 2's model shop. Miniature combat vehicles, including a 200-pound hunter-killer tank, had radio-controlled treads, turrets, and guns. Aerial hunter-killers were suspended on wire and pulled through the set, which was heavily smoked during filming to simulate atmospheric conditions. An essential element of the Terminator's future war were its explosions. Pyrotechnics expert Joe Viscoso had earlier blown up hundreds of model spaceships and the Empire's Death Star in Star Wars. Here, he destroyed several of the carefully crafted miniatures with a combination of gasoline and black powder.
There is a lot of pressure when you have only one model, and that model might cost anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000. It's one model. And until that shot is over, then you can relax and celebrate, but not until you push that button.
With model vehicles and miniature worlds in their bag of tricks, the Masters of Illusion have proven that even little effects can have a big impact, and that there is no such thing as an impossible shot.
When we return, the wizards of special effects conjure famous illusions for Ghost, Gone with the Wind, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Too many teenagers are still flirting with death in the sun.
No protection. And white skin's not in, brown is.
An alarming new survey on 7 Nightly News tomorrow.
It's been a long trail, but Purex has finally uncovered an expert on soft but strong rolls. Meet Rolly. Rolly enjoys his own comforts. That's why he recommends Purex, because it's strong on softness. Rolly wouldn't dream of using anything else.
From our very first animated motion picture, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Walt Disney Company established a classic tradition of artistic and technological innovation that continues to this day, with the dazzling excitement of Aladdin and the wonder, the majesty, and the breathtaking spectacle of Disney's 32nd animated motion picture, The Lion King. Now, we are joining forces with Tim Burton, the creative genius behind Batman, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands, to bring you one of the most unique and innovative movies of our time, The Nightmare Before Christmas. This historic teaming of extraordinary talents is taking three-dimensional animation to unprecedented new heights. An incredible fantasy featuring 10 new songs by Danny Elfman.
What's this? There's color everywhere.
Prepare to experience an exciting adventure in movie making and discover the astonishing new world of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
With a Nokia mobile phone,
Uncle Bill, you better get down here. Quick.
you'll never miss an opportunity. Nokia, connecting people.
For the truly authentic taste of Mexican food, top it with the same cheese that Mexican restaurants use.
Mainland Mexican grated cheese. Hasta la vista, baby.
Make it mainland.
Happy too long, boy.
That's the end of that one. Not to worry. Huh? Mate, it's just like my car insurance policy with RAA. If my car's stolen or written off, RAA Insurance pays me the value that we agreed on. Or if the market value's higher, they pay me that.
What? The higher of the two?
Yeah. That's unusual. Not for them.
Hire of agreed or market value at no extra cost.
One brand of toilet tissue is definitely on its way to the top. Purex, strong on softness.
At the special time of 8:30 Sunday, 7 brings you the funniest, the greatest, and the cutest in world commercials. The world's greatest TV commercials on 7.
The 1939 classic Gone with the Wind brought the Civil War South vividly to life. But the movie's sets, such as Scarlett's beloved Tara, were just part of the picture. Paintings filled in the rest, from upper portions of colonial mansions to an entire cityscape surrounding this dirt road filmed at MGM Studios in Hollywood. With a special effect technique known as matte photography, the Masters of Illusion can create movie settings that would otherwise be too expensive or impossible to build. They simply paint all or part of the background on a plate of glass and then incorporate the live-action elements of the scene into it. Matte photography belongs to the family of special effects known as image compositing, the combining of two or more separate images into a single convincing illusion. And just as great painters use their palette of colors to create the appearance of 3 dimensions on a flat canvas, special effects artists blend film, animation, and computer graphics into movie experiences we will never forget.
Sam?
Ollie?
I can hear you.
In the final scene of the supernatural love story Ghost, Sam and Molly, played by Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, share a final farewell before he ascends to heaven. In order to give Swayze's character a spirit-like appearance, he was filmed separately, with special lighting at Boss Film Studios. Visual effects supervisor Richard Edlin added a computer-generated glow around Swayze and combined that image with the shot of Demi Moore.
They're composited together and they kiss, although they're not in the same frame together. And the shot worked great.
I love you, Molly. I've always loved you.
Ditto.
Based on documented accounts of near-death experiences, director Jerry Zucker conceived the end sequence as a brilliant tunnel of light with heavenly souls in the distance waiting to welcome Sam. To accomplish the effect, Edlin employed the blue screen process, in which an actor can be isolated from the blue background and composited with separately filmed images. The final background for this shot combined dancers in white bodysuits and colored lights reflected off a shiny material called mylar. With the two stars filmed in separate places, the image on the screen was mere illusion, but the emotion we felt was very real.
See ya.
Image compositing can bring even the most unlikely co-stars together, as director Robert Zemeckis proved in the 1988 blockbuster, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Jeepers, Eddie, I was thrilled. You saved my life. How can I ever repay you?
My overall goal in Roger Rabbit was very seriously to make sure that the audience completely forgot that they were watching first time ever special effects. And so that the effects would be so invisible that they would, you know, be just completely involved in the emotional story of this rabbit.
Roger was added to the movie only after completion of filming with Bob Hoskins.
If I grab the rabbit like that, with my fingers open, you've got to paint the rabbit on every frame between the fingers, so you keep your fingers closed. And that would cost $100,000. You know what I mean? So, well, please keep your fingers closed. You know what I mean?
For this scene, Bob wore an elaborate contraption that represented a struggling Roger Rabbit.
It was a whole structure inside the coat that made the rabbit move. So what we did was worked out where the rabbit was going, because you couldn't just have it moving. It had to be, at one point he's down here. So at another point he came up here, and he had to move. He couldn't be down there if he suddenly stuck his head out there.
Roger was then animated to match the contraption's movements and composited with the live-action film. This special effect successfully teamed flesh and blood with ink and paint and gave us one of the most entertaining duos in movie history.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket, or you just happy to see me?
In Terminator 2, Judgment Day, image compositing helped create a single-screen character, the T-1000, played by Robert Patrick.
He was the ultimate weapon. He was the ultimate machine, the ultimate warrior. And so that was the core of, like, the performance was defining the body posture. It's just it's a very physical performance and putting on that face of intensity.
But more than acting was required to create the character's liquid metal properties. That assignment went to leading effects house Industrial Light and Magic, or ILM. And 8-time Academy Award winner Dennis Muren knew that traditional special effects techniques would not be adequate.
I had been feeling probably since the mid-'80s that we had been doing, we'd reached the end of what we could do. You know, we could vary this a little bit, we can vary that, but there wasn't really much we could do that would be unique or different.
So ILM accepted the challenge of developing a new generation of computer graphics that would be realistic enough to blend with film of a live actor. The first step was to obtain a laser scan of Patrick's face and body. These data were input into a computer, and three-dimensional models of Patrick were rendered. Next, the effects team shot reference film of his walk, run, and other movements. The computer models were then manipulated by effects artists and blended with the live-action film to create T-1000's terrifying transformations.
It's a total ensemble effort of technology, film magic, and actor bringing it all together and creating this villain.
If we had any doubts about the qualifications of this new Terminator to go up against Arnold Schwarzenegger, ILM's groundbreaking special effects quickly put them to rest.
When Masters of Illusion continues, we'll journey into a new world of special effects aboard the SeaQuest. And go behind the scenes on Jim Carrey's wild comedy, The Mask.
Thursday, watch out for the outrageous, the irreverent Full Frontal.
And not guilty, not guilty.
For a workout in laughs and send-ups.
What to do when you miss out on bin night?
Full Frontal at 8:30. Then at 9:30, join 12 beautiful young Aussie models for a week of fun in paradise when we go behind the scenes and discover what really goes on in the making of the 1995 Australian swimsuit calendar. Thursday, right after Full Frontal on 7.
Gorgeous Kimberly Davies in TV's Wedding Shock of the Year. Anita Keating opens her heart for the first time. Miscarriage. New research finds hidden clauses in your home. Priscilla tells how she really feels about Lisa Marie's marriage. The scandalous books Crippling the Crown. More embarrassment. Girls. Susan lunches in Paris with Robert and Andrew. She gives us the lowdown. Lose weight now. Call our new binge hotline. Our brilliant Christmas cookbook. And gorgeous Christmas gifts anyone can make. What a fabulous gown. And you could win it.
When you have indigestion, whether it's heartburn or sharp pains, queasy sensations, or that knotted up feeling, try new Andrews Antacid tablets. Andrews Antacid tablets quickly calm and soothe, and there are 4 fruit flavors, so your stomach will be feeling better in no time. Andrews Antacid tablets calm and soothe heartburn and indigestion.
The 54-hour marathon sale now on at Jarvis Ford. Rick, you've got a huge selection of quality used cars. What are you doing with the prices?
Scott, for 3 days, we've slashed the prices on all our used cars, make no repayments for 6 months, and they all carry our exclusive 3-year warranty.
And when you buy a used car at Jarvis Ford, Norwood or Hillcrest, have a go on the cash cube.
At Jarvis Ford, we give you more, more, more.
If there's one thing we all know about, it's gold.
It's official. Golden Valley Gold, with no added sugar, is so full-flavored, it's
totally awesome.
With the Nokia mobile phone,
Uncle Bill, you better get down here, quick.
you'll never miss an opportunity. Nokia, connecting people.
Now, that's 2 insipidly boring mineral waters, 1 cola, and for the lady, a Twinings peach iced tea, tenderly brewed, lovingly caressed with hibiscus extract and the juice of lush, ripe peaches. Oh, and 1 dreary banal coffee.
Twinings' new iced teas, refreshingly different.
Nice nose.
Thanks.
Hugh Grant and Kristen Scott Thomas of 4 Weddings and a Funeral star in the first provocative screening of Bitter Moon, next on 7.
Action.
Oh, God. Jim Carrey's comedy, The Mask, combines the computer effects of Terminator 2 and the zaniness of Roger Rabbit. Jim plays Stanley Ipkiss, a bank clerk whose dull life is transformed when he discovers a supernatural mask.
Stanley loves cartoons. He's always been into cartoons. And so when he becomes the Mask, there's a certain, at any time his eyes can shoot out of his head and things like that. It's that kind of energy.
These are shots which even Carrey, with his elastic face, could never perform on his own.
But I can grow a beard. Watch. No.
A team of 25 animators at ILM is creating the computer graphics that will turn Carrey into a human cartoon character. Animation director Steve Williams is using many of the same techniques he employed to bring dinosaurs to life in Jurassic Park.
There, right? This is the first time we're actually doing a film where we can use cartoon-type mentality. Traditionally, what we've done in terms of The Abyss and Terminator and Jurassic were more or less a paint-by-numbers process, where we had a storyboard to follow, and we knew we had to make it look realistic, and it was for the sake of making it look suspenseful or scary. Now we can really have some fun.
It will take close to a year to complete the Mask's 100 computer graphic shots. The goal of the animation team is for the audience to not think about special effects, but simply to accept this character who just happens to behave like a toon. Computer-generated imagery is also revolutionizing television, where big screen type effects can now be produced on smaller budgets and shorter schedules. On Sequest DSV, Jonathan and I journey each week through an incredibly convincing underwater world.
And while the giant submarine Sequest is actually a set at Universal Studios, the environment outside the sub is created entirely in the computer. For executive producer David J. Burke, relying so heavily on cutting-edge technology meant taking the show on and off screen into uncharted waters.
You never get comfortable with it because it's new, but that's also what's exciting about it. And in the hands of skilled artists, you can put forth some very vivid images of a world that you can believe exists.
At Steven Spielberg's Amblin Imaging, effects supervisor Jim Lima and his team of artists use a computer graphic system called the Video Toaster to design and animate fantastic adventures under the sea.
Even if it's only for, like, 6 frames, 4 frames, you need to see these lights hitting and then an explosion.
But ultimately, it takes more than computers to create convincing illusions.
When a computer is turned off, it's nothing more than a giant paperweight. And I really believe that it's the person operating the machine, it's your own particular vision and intuition and inspiration that actually controls the device.
Using both new tools and time-proven techniques, Hollywood's wizards of special effects continue to provide us with golden movie memories. Whether performing mechanical effects on the set, breathing life into imaginary creatures, producing big impact with miniatures, or seamlessly blending images, they are determined that the best illusions on the screen will be those yet to come.
The last 10 years has been spent for me trying to bring the special effects business to a point where I can do another Star Wars. Most people go to the movies and then they see a movie being made and they say, I had no idea there was so much work. But if you take the making of a movie and times it times 10, you've got what goes into a special effects production.
I still am amazed when you have something that's just an idea in your head and you think about it and you know that in a matter of months, it'll be a physical thing that's there and looks alive.
All the time we're learning. I think we never have gotten to the point where we say we know everything. And that's, I think, for me, the challenge of visual effects. We're like magicians, creating illusions that people hopefully will believe.
And as moviegoers, we can expect these illusions to thrill, frighten, amuse, and enchant us. All we have to do is suspend our disbelief when the theater lights go down.
And enjoy the magic of the Masters of Illusion.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.
This program was presented by Truscott Hi-Fi.
Truscott, we've got all you want and more.
News Update is brought to you by the New Colonial.
Hello again. The Aussie cricketers are playing an exhibition match in Pakistan tonight. Their one-day international in front of 15,000 had to be called off due to a soggy pitch, and the exhibition game was seen as the only way of averting a riot. The RAA says it isn't troubled by overseas calls to ban unleaded petrol. The British government has been told additives such as benzene in unleaded fuel can cause cancer. However, the RAA says the additive levels in Australian fuel are very low. And the cruise ship, the Marsden, has left outer harbour. Adelaide was its first port of call on its maiden 2-month voyage from the US. A fine day tomorrow with a top of 21. That's after a low of 11. Good night.
If you got a lump sum payout now, would you know how to make it grow as big as possible before you retire?
I'm not sure.
Over the last 3 years, Colonial's Deferred Annuity Growth Fund has outgrown the industry average and the leading banks fund. Call for this brochure. While past performance is no guarantee for the future, wouldn't your rollover be better off with Colonial?
Always the one to watch. This is Adelaide's Channel 7.
Sunday, Tom Berenger and Billy Zane in the action premiere Sniper.
Bitter Moon is classified MA. Channel 7 advises that it's suitable only for mature audiences. It contains some violence, adult themes and sex scenes.